was standing there with no cameras on him, acting just like when there's a cameras on him. That really blows my mind. I was like, oh shit, man, this guy really serious. And it becomes something that I really, still doing it until today. Before that, nobody's actually listened to what I said, right? But now, when you're on the stage, you said something, people actually sharing for you. So that's make you feel like on top of the world.
And I assume that there must be there like, not my day at all, like bottom of everything.
I don't really matter. If I die, there'll be someone replacing my space. You have to go through mistakes. I mean, you gotta endure it. Sometimes it's tough, but that's the whole point of living. It's to learn. It's to really experience, and that's the beauty of that. If I change a thing, it would really create a butterfly effect that affects a lot of things. And I think once you look back, it's a good journey.
So welcome to AM Hour.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, actually. Yeah.
So my name is AM, and it's AM Hour. So I want this hour to be yours, and mine.
Yeah. Okay. So now the hours is yours.
Thank you.
All right.
So you are an actor.
Yeah.
You kind of mentioned a few things that you are in. What area are most interesting to you?
Oh. I mean, a different kind of world actually. Each of the whatever I do, it has its own attributes of what it is. Like for example, actors is also it's given me a perspective to learn about other human beings as well, because you get to be in other role. So you're trying to understand the character from perspective of who they actually are. And, that's a kind of different. And then what I do in terms of like producing, in terms of music as well, it's also another world that you learn to see. For example, like I mostly do scoring film, so how I see film as a whole concept is different, And also on entrepreneur side as well, it's all about trying to understand about how reality works, how people interact with each other in economic systems, and how it brought out to be supply and demands, products, services, and stuff. Yeah.
Basically, the last 14 years, you kind of live to your fullest years, though. You are the idol of people your generation as well. So, what changed the most in the last 14 years?
Well, I think what changed the most is I become at peace with myself. Back then you're always trying to be something. You're trying to prove something to the world. That, for example, on my first film, I'm trying to prove myself that I am capable of doing it. I'm capable of finishing the film, and then once it's out, then you're starting to prove yourself that you can really not just a one-hit wonder. You can branch out to the other genres of film as well. And then it's just all about like proving yourself to people. But then at the end of the day, you learn to really accepting who you are, and then you become peace with yourself. And that makes me, I would say, happier with my work. Now I start to work on my own terms, because I like to work with these people. And then you become more happy. Back then it's all about like proving, so it's all about like trying to be on the ball, but in a way that you're actually stressing yourself out because you expect some certain results. But now it's more like you focus on your thing, you focus on your craft, but out of joy. So I think that's big difference.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that you want to prove yourself.
Yeah.
Why that is back then?
Well, because I think in terms of the entertainment business, it's all about, you put people and compete against each other, who's better, who's greater, who's the most successful actors, it's like you're in that mentalities, they prime you into that world, and that's how the perceptions of the public as well. Like, oh, okay, these guys are more famous, so they get more respect in the industry. But at the end of the day, it's all bubble.
But you have been here for 14 years, so that says a lot.
Wow.
In a good way.
In a good way. I think I am lucky as well that I get to work with so many great people, great actors, great female actors as well, great directors, all along my career. I rarely had, so to speak, bad projects. So I think I am lucky in that kind of way. Like along the journey, I get to do fun stuff that really communicate with the audience. So I think I'm lucky in that field.
From my perspective, I assume when I see you in the last 14 years, there are days when you are like so prime, it's like top of the world, and I assume that there must be day like not my day at all, like bottom of everything.
Well, I mean it's a kind of come and go. It's like riding a wave. My first film, of course, I feel like I'm on the top of the world because it's the first time you get recognition, right? It's and it's the first film, right? People just figure out that this guy's good, right? They said that, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm on top of my game, top of the world. Before that, nobody's actually listened to what I said, right? But now, when you're on the stage, you said something, people actually sharing for you. So that's make you feel like on top of the world. But it's not everlasting experience, Once you go through it, you learn that it's not that important anymore. It's not. I get to the point that I actually doubting myself as well. Like, how can I be as useful to society as a whole as well? That is the moment that I went down to the point that I actually questioned myself as well. Like, wow, people actually sharing, but is it really me, or is it the perceptions of someone that they created in their mind? And that's a kind of low point in my. It's a very conflicting idea at the same time. Yeah.
So, but the fact that you I think you understand that people want to get away from reality, right? Because like poverty, because of economics, and once they turn on Netflix and watch your movies, and then they get to escape. Don't you feel like that's your contribution to the world?
That is a perks of doing this job, right? It's to make people feel something out of thin air. It's one of the few jobs that make people actually could cry, but just doing nothing, right? It's one of the most wonderful experience that I learned with this job. It's like magician, I would say. You make people feel awe, you make people excited out of nowhere. That's one of the few jobs that could do that. So I mean, you could say that it's a contribution as well. But I mean, what else could we do with what we have? Like that. For example, it's a very delicate subject, to talk about like how could you use fame for greater goods as well, because at the same time you're climbing the ladder as well, and you don't really know like how much could you do and what could affect, what could you really make the change about. So that's a kind of like a journey by itself as well, to learn like what is the right move and how could you really use this for people as well. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes along the way as well, and that's a part of the process of learning as well. I think it is important that we make mistakes, but then we learn not to repeat it again. I did that a lot by trying to prove myself to be something. I used to be very opinionated mind as well. I used to speak out whatever I think, but then once you start to learn that you don't really know much about how the world works, how things actually are, once you start to learn that, you synthesize and you change. but that's also a public perception as well, that people already accept you as that voice guy, right? So I learned that, and then I pivot into doing something else, more like community work, but then at the same time still in the process of learning as well, like how could I contribute to back to the society.
What should be the main factor that keep you composed during this roller coaster ride of the last 14 years of fame and business and everything?
Well, I think in the end of the day is that we always got to remember that, you know, people doesn't really like you for who you are, but they like you for the position you are in, right? So, for example, I read this in a book, and then it's really something that I took it in. It's like there's one guy. He used to be government officials in the U.S. Military, right? So he went to speak on a stage. He used to get special treatment, special coffee mugs, like ceramic cup, right? But after that, he quit his service. He became an ordinary guy. And he got asked to be speaking on a stage again. On the day, he went there, there's no special treatment anymore. I mean, he's the same guy, but the position is different. So people will treat you differently based on your position, not who you are. And I think that made me compose that you're not the center of the world. You know, it's your position that it is the most important, not you as yourself. So then that leads me to be more humble with the world, that, you know, I don't really matter. You know, if I die, there'll be someone replacing my space. You know, that kind of, yeah.
From the old interviews and from what I read and listen, there's this like stigma, you know, like being Jiratiwat and being Pete Pachara, and the fact that you want to start your own thing, you know, like your own business.
Yeah.
How are you on that now?
Well, it's still a lot to do, but it is different now. The mindset is it's really not really about like I want to start my own thing now. You know, it's all about like it's just fun now. It's just like do something because we just want to do. It's just now it's having a fun now. It's like because you know that you're being able to do something, now you can have fun. Yeah, like you don't have to worry about like proving that it happened, you know, like you can make it because it already happened. So now we can have more confidence in ourselves, even like with the team as well. You know, we can have more confidence that we could do a lot of great things. We could achieve a lot of great things.
So it's sort of like the fact that you had the discipline, the fact that you put in the hard work allows you to have freedom now.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. It's hard work and discipline is the key in everything, right? Even until now, I mean, we can have so much joy to do whatever we want, but still, it's got to be discipline. Still, like you got to really focus on it, really working hard on it. But you can have more possibilities of doing something. It's not really totally like free, but still, like, because the competition is out there, you still gotta be very, very disciplined. But you can get to pick and choose more of how and where do you want to be disciplined in. Yeah.
So, 14 years apart, is there anything that if you can go back and tell Peach 14 years ago, one thing that will be better for him back then?
No, I wouldn't change a thing. Just do what you do. I think that's good enough. I mean, people are supposed to make mistakes. As the best form of learning is to make mistakes. I mean, right? It's like you're riding a bicycle, or you crash, right? Or you just tripped over. Then you learn. how to write better. And then that's the same thing with life. You have to go through mistakes. I mean, you got to endure it. Sometimes it's tough, but that's the whole point of living. It's to learn. It's to really experience, and that's the beauty of that. If I change a thing, it would really create a butterfly effect that affects a lot of things. And I think once you look back, it's a good journey. Through like ups and downs, it's a beautiful journey, anyways. Yeah.
You are satisfied with who you are now, and even along the way, you are like.
I mean, I'm not satisfied with who I am right now, but I am satisfied with what I've been through. Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna ask about the movies, but now it's become quite deep.
Yeah.
So, ศึกค้างคาวกินกล้วย Tell me about it.
Well, the film, it's well, by the looks of it, you think it seems to be like it sets in something in 1960s and stuff, but really it's a fictional world of the minds of the director, who is one of the cast as well. He set his world. If you could see from the poster, like we just dressed up in a very weird ways. It's a very not really fit into that kind of era, So it's his fictional world of blending everything in. But the stories is about at that particular time in those 60s, 50s. There's one particular incident that is very, very interesting. It's that there used to be a period of trying to ban Thai music, like traditional Thai, to only certain groups of people who could allowed to play. So that is very trying to institutionalize, I would say, culture to just certain groups of people, and that is a very interesting point that we want to talk about as well. That what do I say? I think this went too deep.
That's okay. That's okay.
So that point, it's become a main focal point of the film, that we want to talk about, trying to deprive something away from people, which is already actually a free will. I mean, music is supposed to be something that people can, choose to do on their own interests, rather than having someone to restrict. That is pretty much the same as the human rights as well. It's the same concept that we want to talk about, but we try to make some metaphor into something that is lighter rather than talking about freedom in a very, very straightforward way. So that's how the whole story is about.
At the same time, the movie still delivers comedy.
Yes, it is a comedy film, by the way. Very, very comedy film, but we're trying to, imprint some of the important topics. For example, of course, free will. That's just what it is. Friendship as well. What else? Family bonding as well. It's about pretty much as well, like the dad doesn't really listen to church at all. And it become a major conflict in the family as well. So we try to imprint that, but then we covered it with a sense of comedy, so it's more easy to at least grasp the idea, and so for the people to really understand the whole concept. Yeah.
And you get to play with Kao again. Is it the second to the first succeed?
Yeah, I haven't. If you don't count the commercials, of course, this is my first time getting into a scene with him. That is something as well for me. It's a very special feeling as well. And also Japan. So he did actually play in Billionaires.
Did he?
He did. He's my friend Jack in Billionaire, the university friend. So it's good to get back to work with these two colleagues that I haven't been working for 14, 13 years. So it's a kind of good homecoming feeling for me as well. Yeah.
Okay, Kao and Japan, you know them for
quite a while, yeah.
What are good things about them? What are something that you learn from them?
Oh, a lot actually. I think I start succeed, right? I don't have any experience at all. Never act, right? But Gao is a veteran, has been doing a lot of like magical power TV show thing in the morning, like morning shows before, right? So he's been in the industry for so long, and then he taught me a lot of things as well, and I still do remember, like I would say vividly as well. Whenever I walk into a scene with him, I still remember one incident that I've been talking to him. Like that's one particular scene. It's in the basketball field in front of the school in Succeed, right? It's I think it's a scene that Kung and Pet really sees Earn for the first time. In that particular cut, it's only a close-up shot of my face. So normally, some actor wouldn't, who's not in the scene, right? Inไม่ใช่ scene สิ wouldn't be seen in the camera, no. ง่ายๆ they would walk to the makeup room or the break room, right? Because you're not seeing them, they're not going to be there, right? But then Gao was standing there, who was act as well while there's no camera on him. Because he said like, oh, I mean, if I don't do it, how can you do it? Because we're in it together. And you were supposed to have conversation together. So if I'm not there, how is it going to work? And he was standing there with no cameras on him, acting just like when there's a cameras on him. That really blows my mind. I was like, oh shit, man, this guy really serious. And it becomes something that I really, still doing it until today.
And why this movie should relate to them?
Ooh, I think first of all, I think it would give a sense of joy. That's a main point as a start. We want to do a good comedy film that is really laughable. So it would. So I think that's what audience expect, and I think that's the whole point of audience going to cinema to watch this film. What else would they get? I think if you are fans of one of the TV show ตลกหกฉาก you would really love this film because the whole cast is there. It's like ตลกหกฉาก the movie, so it's a kind of cool. It's one of the most famous comedy TV show in Thailand now. It's become a film, so I think that's why you're supposed to go into cinema to watch it. Yeah.
It's kind of something that I think people may crave, like the good old days.
Yeah.
Has been there for like years.
Yeah.
And in the last few years, there are so many new things, right? I mean, TikTok and everything. But at the end, people kind of crave that old taste.
Like it's something that I would say that we're getting used to, right? All those 90s film, all the feel-good film, right? This is one of that kind of genre as well. That if you go into cinema, you get something that it's not really high concept film. So it's something that it's very easy to digest as well. It's something that it's just like you said. It's something that we would have been missed for a while, and it's become something that has been, I would say, resurgence of like that kind of film. Right? That's Lan Ma, that kind of feel-good film. It's back. That this kind of comedy film as well is coming back as well. So I think audience would get really familiar with the films that they like from ages ago. Yeah.
So September 19.
19th of September, yeah, in the cinema, yeah, pretty much nationwide.
ขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณครับ
อยู่กัน3 คนแบบนี้คิดถึงตอนเด็กๆเลยเนาะ
มึงทำไมถึงมาเป็นทหารวะเนี่ยฮะ
กูก็แค่อยากลองเป็นคนคุมกฎดูบ้าง จากนี้ไปฉันจะเป็นคนดูแลเธอเองนะ
จะเป็นไปได้ไหมอ่ะที่จะทำให้ทุกคนได้กลับมาเล่นดนตรีไทยอีกครั้งอ่ะ
คนอย่างไอ้เชิดฉันจะไม่ยอมให้มันมาขวางฉันอีก ไม่ว่าเรื่องดนตรี หรือเรื่องเธอ สำนักเดียวที่จะเล่นดนตรีไทยได้ ก็คือสำนักของเซียนดำ
ดนตรีไทยเป็นของทุกคนเว้ย ใครหน้าไหนจะมาห้ามไม่ได้ทั้งนั้นอะเรื่องลำบากอะพวกกูไม่มาได้ไงวะ พวกเราจะมาขอท้าดวลกับมือละนาดอันดับ1ที่นี่
กูเนี่ยแหละระนาดอันดับ1
โอเค
คนอย่างมึงไม่ควรได้รับโอกาสเว้ย
หลังจากนี้เนี่ยนะ แก๊งของพวกเราจะมีชื่อว่าข้างข้าวกินกล้วย